KHTS Radio.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Alex Urbina radio show, broadcasting live from beautiful downtown Newhall, California. Today I'm in the studio with Mr. Andrew Delgado. He's my board op producer. And today's topic is, how do you know you're enabling your young adult child? And I'm glad to have you on the show, Andrew, because I'm going to put you in the hot seat a little later and ask you to kind of speak for all young adults. I mean, whether your parents enable you to some degree. I think all parents, we love our kids so much that we kind of help them out. And sometimes it crosses the line a little bit, right?
A little bit.
And then there's some of us parents that we really have crossed the line and we're like in the deep end, right? And sometimes we just don't know because we don't listen to shows like this or topics like this or have discussions like this as much. So I want to really just highlight the possibility that you could be enabling your children because you love them so much and you help them constantly, that you might be over helping them to the point where they're not learning, they're not growing, they're not figuring out for themselves that they are capable and competent and that they can, handle their own life circumstances. And so one of the things I did was just went online, because you can always find pretty decent stuff online, right? If you sort through all the mumbo jumbo. But I found some tips on how to find some of the signs that you could be enabling your adult child, and I'd like to go over them one by one, and then maybe either talk about them or open up a discussion, or just break down that distinction a little bit. How's that sound?
All right, let's do it.
Cool. So number one is one of the signs you could be enabling your adult child, a young adult child, is if they live at home or you pay for their living expenses.
Right. And I can speak out the first one already right off the bat, because currently, yes, I do live at home. But,
I think it's a high percentage because
yes, and in most recent years, I think the age has gotten from what it was like about 21 or so, but it's been stretching to about 26 to 30, and I'm 30 years old right now, and I'm living at home. But I was living on my own for years. I had my own apartment in place.
So you took a shot. You took a shot at young adulthood, and you're back.
Right, yeah.
Hopefully regrouping.
Oh, yes. Oh, saving money and doing all that. And I'm lucky enough where I'm in a great situation where my parents, accepted me right back, no questions asked. But when I came back, the first thing I said was, "Oh, I'm paying you rent. I'm not going to just stay here and like mooch off you guys. I'm going to pay you money and things like that." Before they even asked, I put that right on Front Street. Like, this is what I'm going to do, because I know they could be, just because where we're living at in Southern California is so expensive. So I couldn't live on my own at the time, but I was saying, I still want to give you guys money because I don't want this to be where I even feel like that I'm taking advantage in some type of way. All so right. I immediately said that.
So the sign is that, as a mom or dad, if your kids are living at home and or you could be paying their living expenses. So either your child is not paying rent, or you're paying for some of the things that they could be paying for or stepping up to pay for. Like what? Like phone bill, insurance, cable, Netflix. I mean, we can go down a whole laundry list of things that your young adult, because of their lifestyle, has a gym membership, right? They just decided that this is what I want to do. And now all of a sudden you realize that, man, you know what, I'm paying for, out of the 12 things that you should be responsible for, I'm paying 9 of them. Like, that's something's wrong there. So you really want to look at yourself and go, man, like, how do I empower my son or daughter to start at least taking on 1 or 2 of these responsibilities off my plate, or they get to decide that it's not in their budget and they can't afford it and they just got to go without it at some point, right?
Oh, exactly. Just say, that's it. Just come to a point. There's no like easing into it. Just, I'm stop paying it. If you want to continue with the Netflix or whatever it is, that's on you.
Yeah, well, some parents just don't know how to say no or cut them off, and we could talk about that a little later. Number 2, another sign that you could be enabling your child, your young adult child, at a certain age when they're stepping into adulthood and should be stepping into taking more responsibility for their lives. One of the signs is that if you're constantly helping them through crisis. So as things arise for them as challenges in their life and they're facing crisis, are you always the first one to jump in there and go, all right, let's figure this out? I mean, are you like the leader in crisis, or are you stepping back and, asking questions like, hey son, how are you going to handle that? Or what do you think, what's your game plan? Or so you got to really look at what's the part you play when your kids are in crisis.
Oh,
and you
and
just jump in there and save them.
As a young adult, I would look like, yes, do it for me, please. But if you can speak on as a parent, because I'm not a parent yet, but how hard is it to say no, or to say like not right now, or do it like pretty much not jump in?
This is what's pretty amazing. As I've been coaching people for a little over 25 years, it seems like parents, the challenge they have when it comes to saying no is because they have some childhood traumas, they have some childhood conditioning, some things that happened when they were younger that they flipped a switch in their head and they decided, I'm going to be there for my kid, not the way my dad wasn't there for me. Or, if they had a very strong mom that said no all the time and they went without, they probably told themselves, when I'm a parent, I'm never going to be as mean as you are. And they flipped a switch. And so as a parent yourself, right, a lot of us Generation Xers, we had parents that didn't give us a lot of things, which is a good thing because it taught us how to struggle and figure out how to think outside the box and find our own solutions. But then I think the downfall is we flipped the switch and said, when I'm a parent, I'm going to not be that mean towards my kids, or I'm going to give them the things I never had, or however you want to, paint that picture. And we didn't realize that by following that model, we're robbing our kids from the opportunity to struggle, to face crisis, to be in the hot seat, to go, man, what do I do? And then have to dig down deep, find our own solutions, and then implement those solutions. And so I think that's one of the struggles is we have some insecurity still. Like I have some clients that are struggling, with saying no to their kids, and the more, deep you go with, okay, well, where does that come from? And as they reflect, back in their childhood, like, wow, I remember, my mom used to, or my dad used to, whatever it is. And then they go, that's why I have a challenge now telling my kids no. It could be as easy as I don't want my kids to not love me anymore. The fear of my kids disowning me because I didn't help them in a time when they needed them.
Because as the kids, if I say, Mom, Dad, I need your help, and they for so long have been saying, oh yeah, I got that, I got it for you, and then out of nowhere they say no, I would turn around and kind of double take, like, you don't love me anymore, kind of deal. That like that's what it would come from. But how can you, I guess, tee up parents to right away to say, no, this is not because I don't love you?
Yeah, you gotta learn the distinction between help, right? There's a distinction that really breaks down and defines what help is, or support, and then there's the distinction that really breaks down and defines enabling. And when you fully understand both distinctions, then they're not clouded, they're not mixed together. But when you don't understand them both, and that's what I do a lot of times as a coach, is I help you understand distinctions. We go over them and we break them down. Once you have clarity about this is this and that is that, and they're separate, this is in this corner and this is in that corner, then you're able to make choices, more freer, more from a powerful place. But when help and support and love is all mixed together like that, enabling's in there somewhere that goes beyond a certain point that you don't realize you're doing, and that's the struggle there. That's the part. So if you can really understand the two distinctions, and then just decide, and also realize that by you enabling them and crossing that line more times than not, you're actually you're sabotaging your kids' growth. You're actually not helping them. You're hurting them. You're actually hindering them, because what happens is when they do get out into the real world, they're going to be struggling even more because you're not there to help. You're not in their back pocket just to help them in that moment. And so we'll talk about that in a little bit, maybe towards the end. All right, the third sign that you could be enabling your young adult child is that you constantly make sacrifices so they don't go without, or so that they have what they want. So as a parent, you're sacrificing so your kids don't have that PlayStation or that vacation, or that whatever that is that they really love and that they want. You go, you know what? Here, I was saving this for me and you and my dad. you and your dad's vacation or for our anniversary or for you and your mom's, whatever, but we're going to give it to you, just so you can have something, that you really wanted or you don't go without.
Yeah, but isn't that, I would say, not the struggle, but kind of what you want? You want better for your kids?
It is. And in increments, and periodically it's okay. But when you're doing it to the point where you're, more often than not, you're paying the price or you're struggling just so your kids aren't, there's something that's unhealthy there. It's off balance. So it's more a matter of looking at yourself and going, man, am I off balance? If it came down to, the hard work that I've been doing and the things that I deserve, and I'm just going to sacrifice that because I love my kids that much and I don't want them to go without, I'm going to choose my kids. You really got to look at that. And in the world of giving, you're supposed to be giving from abundance. You're supposed to be giving from overflow. So if you're going to give your kids stuff, you should be giving it from after I've taken care of myself, after I've fed myself. And when they talk about the oxygen mask, right? When it comes down in the plane, they tell you put the oxygen mask for yourself first,
and then help somebody else,
and then give it to your kid. Because what's the point of the oxygen mask comes and you give it to your kid, and you go out, now your kid doesn't know what to do. So you got to be giving to yourself first. And it's not selfish to love yourself enough to go, all right, here's for me. Here's what I've been working on. And if I have leftovers in abundance, hey, son, here's a little bit for you as an encouragement, as an incentive for you to want what some of my overflow is. But what we do is when we get it all, we just go, here, you can have this all. And then they go, oh, thanks. And then they create a belief that that's always going to come from you because you keep giving to me. That means I don't have to go and earn my own. I don't have to go out there and create my own of whatever abundance you've created because you're always going to give me some of yours.
That's where that entitlement comes from.
That's correct.
There it is.
That's good. So number, I believe we're on number 4. Sign that you could be enabling your young adult child is that you're constantly worried about doing something that will hurt or upset them. So if you're always like walking on pins and needles going, man, I don't know if I should do this because it'll really hurt Johnny or I'm afraid that he'll be mad at me. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's a sign that you are an enabler.
All the way. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, wait, the parents are walking? No, it should be the other way kind of around.
Exactly.
In my eyes, that no, the kids should be afraid to upset their parents, not the other way around. Like, no, that's crazy.
Yeah, you should not be worried constantly that if you whatever choice you make is going to hurt or upset your children. Your job as the parent is to make those difficult decisions, just like a leader is. We're going to make those difficult decisions because of my wisdom, because of my world experience. I'm trusting my gut. I'm trusting my intuition. I'm making this choice from a higher standards, or I'm making this decision because it's the better choice for you in the long run. And so I'm going to choose it. And you hurting your feelings is the last thing that I'm worried about, because I'd rather hurt your feelings, throughout your lifetime of choices I made, but knowing that you're going to grow from them and you're going to be this powerful, confident, independent, responsible leader in the world, I've done my job. That means that I wasn't needy of your approval and you liking me and you saying I'm the best mom or dad in the world. Like, that became last on the list. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And a lot of parents, we parent from, I want you to like me. I want you to be my best friend. I want you to, and so what we do is we give and give and give and give. And then we wonder why kids are still 30 or 40 years old, still living at home, ordering Domino's pizza on your credit card, playing video games in the living room, sleeping on your couch, and has no desire to go out and earn or make a difference or contribute in the world, or so be it. Number 5, a signs that you could be enabling your young adult child. If you're making any and all decisions for your young adult child. So if you're like the first one to jump in there and just start going, well, this is what we're going to do, and I think we're going to do this. And if you're getting in there and making those choices for them, rather than asking them if they can give some insight or input or share some light on a subject or give some information that you feel might be missing or needed so that your child can make their own choice for themselves. So it's more of a come from, I think, where you're just coming in with the come from or belief that he's not capable of making that choice. So let me just jump in and make that choice for him or her.
But what about when you said that, I was just thinking of the parenting style of my way, kind of, or the highway. Like, that's it. Like, what I say goes, and I'm just gonna just dictate what you.
Yeah, that's on the way far end of the spectrum. That's like, that's a master controller right there. Where you just still see your young adult child at 24 or 25, you still see them as 5 years old, and you're still making those choices. So before we're going to break, I want to just break down, this metaphor, this model of parenting that I've noticed that hasn't shifted for lots of parents, and I want to just kind of paint that picture for you. So imagine your son or daughter's born, and you got the responsibility and the honor to take care of them and teach them and guide them in their life for however long you've decided that you're going to be that gift for them. And so you decide to be their mom, their dad, and you're like their manager. You're their leader. And you tell them, hey, don't touch that. Don't go there. Don't pick that up. And you do that. So you're managing and controlling the environment at which they live in so they don't hurt themselves, correct?
Right.
So they're 5, they're 7, they're 9, and have been defining your role as the manager, the one that has the final word, the one that can just kind of override any of your decisions because I'm your manager, I'm your mom, I'm your dad, I'm your leader. Well, at a certain age, your son or daughter at age 10, 12, there's different phases that your son or daughter is going to go through this natural phenomena where they want to figure out who they are, and they are trying to discover their own power and find their own independence, and they realize that they have these little mighty wings that if they flap them really hard, they might be able to fly and hopefully someday soar. That's just a natural progression of teenagehood, is them trying to figure out who they are, so that they're going to start going, oh, I got a mind of my own, and I have my own voice. I'm going to start using that. Your job as the parent is to learn how to switch or transition from a controlling style parent, the manager, the leader. You're supposed to be learning how to change and shift your role into more of a supporting style parent, or a coach, or an advisor, or a mentor. And a lot of us parents have never been taught that model. Some of us don't even know that a model like that exists. Some of our elders have never shared that wisdom with us, and so we stay forever the lifelong controlling style parent. And then we're wondering why we're butting heads with a kid, a young man or a young woman who wants to try to figure out who they are and think for themselves, to the point where you just overpower them and they just surrender and go, okay, fine, and you're gonna pay my rent and my car note, and you know what I mean? At a certain point, you got to learn how to shift your parenting style. And a lot of us parents have not done that. And that's why we're butting up heads against kids that are, talking back to you saying, no, I'm not going to do that. And you're now pulling your hair out, and you'll call me going, my son or daughter is challenging me and they don't want to do what I'm telling them to do. And I'm like, how old is your son? He's 16 years old or he's 15 years old. I'm like, well, there's a middle ground in there where your job is to try to help them kind of turn the reins over to them and let them make some of those decisions, and your role has to shift. And if it's not shifting and you haven't learned how to shift it in a loving, nurturing, inspiring, more empowering way, you're going to be butting heads. And that's exactly what happens when I get calls from parents going, I need your help. We come back from the break, we're going to talk more about are you or could you be enabling your young adult child right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
There are times when nothing else will do because you know exactly what you want. You want the Alamo, the taste of true Mexican cooking at its best. At Alamo, you're treated to a taste that is truly Mexican with an atmosphere to match. Enjoy a Cadillac margarita, try a mucho burrito, or sizzling fajitas. Voted the best Mexican food in the SCV and a favorite of former supervisor Mike Antonovich. Alamo Rotisserie in Granary Square, serving Santa Clarita for over 30 years.
Men, are you feeling tired, stressed, or just don't have the energy you used to? Did you know this could be related to decreased testosterone levels? Luckily, there's a safe, effective solution. Weeder Prime helps support healthy testosterone levels with clinically tested key ingredients. Just 2 capsules of Weeder Prime each day can help change your mood, energy, focus, body fat, and lean muscle. Feel the way you felt 10, 20, even 30 years ago. Rediscover your Prime with Weider Prime. To find a retailer near you, visit weiderprime.com. That's WEIDER Prime.com.
Set sail with the SS Lark in a cruise-themed fundraiser packed with live entertainment, great food, fun, games, and dancing as Lark Ranch celebrates their 60th anniversary. Proceeds benefit Lark's residential and day programs and services. Lark Ranch in picturesque Bouquet Canyon just past Vasquez Canyon Road provides a safe home environment for more than 100 developmentally disabled adults. Tickets are $125. The fun happens on Sunday, September 22nd at 1 p.m. Details at larkfoundation.org. That's L-A-R-C, Lark with a C, Foundation.org.
Santa Clarita luxury car owners are discovering Infinity of Valencia.
Infinity of Valencia? Where's that?
Infinity of Valencia, your gateway to luxurious driving, owns a state-of-the-art dealership in front of Valencia Auto Row.
Why haven't I seen it?
Infinity of Valencia can easily be seen as you drive on Magic Mountain Parkway opposite the Valencia Town Center.
Oh, in front of Auto Row?
Auto Row is behind Infinity of Valencia. Infinity of Valencia. Discover it in front of Auto Row.
So easy to find.
Hometown, your hometown station.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina Radio Show. We are live in Newhall, California. Today we are talking about how do you know if you're enabling your young adult child. And if you missed the first half, we were talking about some symbols or signs of people that are enabling their young adult children. And as we went over them, you get to kind of hear them, hear us discuss them, break them down a little bit, talk about them, and then try to check in with yourself and go, do I have some of that? Is that something that I do? Is that something I need to work on? So it's really to kind of put you into the question, and you get to decide for yourself if you could be enabling your children. And then later we're going to talk about how do we turn that around. We might even talk about how is enabling our children even hurting them or harming them in the first place. Because some people might be sitting there listening to the show going, yeah, how's that bad for them? Like, that's what I get the right to do, and I work hard for my money, and if I want to spend it on my kids, I should be able to do that. And it's okay to do that to a certain degree. If you're going beyond that point, you could really be hindering and helping and hurting your children. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So let's get on to some of the further signs that you could be enabling your young adult child. One of the signs is that if your young adult child doesn't respect you, if they don't respect you, it could be a good possibility that after all that you do for them, after all that you've did for them, all that you keep doing for them, and they don't respect you, it could be the possibility that you've stepped beyond the boundaries of helping them into now you've been enabling them.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out, like, not respecting, but that's enabling. Like, how else would that be phrased, I guess?
Well, I think that it's just a sign that if you're, let's say you've hit 3 or 4 of some of the ones we've been talking about, and all of a sudden it's, man, I've hit 3 or 4 of those, and my son or my daughter doesn't respect me. They're just signs that, it's not one sign. It's these are the signs that people have noticed through the years of enablers, and so then they just recorded or documented the signs. You could still not be enabling one of your children and them not respect you either. That doesn't mean that you're an enabler. It just means that they don't respect you. There could be some hurt and pain, disappointment, resentment, a bunch of things that have happened in your relationship that they don't respect you. But this is just one of the signs that people have noticed as you're an enabler or as people are observing enablers, that your son or daughter doesn't respect you. It could be that you're giving them a little too much, and they, at a certain point, they're not grateful either.
Right. Okay. Now I got it. Because of all that you've done, they kind of expect it, and just don't see you as that authority. They just see you as that person that's been giving you all these things. Yeah.
I have some clients in the past that have, shared with me, and if I and we have identified that they have the enabling ability, and they have to dial that down, and that's the course that they're going to take to be able to support their kid and turn it around. One of the things and the behavior problems that they'll share with me is that, my son just doesn't respect me. And it's just a byproduct of you jumping in all the time and either trying to tell him what to do or nagging him or having that control, that controlling style mode as a parent. And you're just on them all the time. And you're like, hey, have you taken your medication yet? And hey, have you cleaned your room yet? And hey, so you're that person like that. That kid's not going to respect you. They're in fact, every time you talk, they're going to be rolling their eyes. They're going to be showing signs of disrespect towards you. So it's just a sign that, goes along the way of, could your kids not respect you because you could be an enabling parent towards them. The next one is, if one of the signs is if your adult child can't accept no. So like, let's imagine you asking your mom or dad something. They're like, no, we're not going to do that. And you're like, what? What happened to my mom? What happened to my dad? Like, did some aliens come down and snatch you out in the middle of the night? Because you always say yes. So if your young adult child can't accept the word no, and they're having a real difficult issue with that, and there's a good possibility that you can look at yourself and go, man, you know what? Maybe I've given this kid way too much. Like I've, and it maybe at times that it wasn't warranted or they didn't earn it. And so you got to really be willing to look at moments when your kids are coming to you and asking you for something, whether it's money, help, and really just decide, if I help them, am I helping him in a supportive way, in a way that's from the outside looking in, or am I coming in to rescue him? Am I making this decision, and the help that I'm offering, is it going to go in there and just rob them from the opportunity for them to figure out how to find the solution for themselves?
And I think to make it more clear, it's not because when you said giving them everything, that I was thinking of the spoiled kids, how they have all the riches in the world. But it doesn't have to be that.
No, not at all.
It doesn't have to be, I gave them everything, all the newest cars and everything like that. It could be in other ways,
It doesn't have to be, oh my God, I've given this kid everything. I think parents just say that. They use the words, man, I've given this kid everything, and he's saying, and he's having a temper tantrum at 25 because I said no or whatever. But it's not that you would say to yourself, I've given them everything. You would come to a realization that, man, maybe I've given them a little too much. Maybe at times when I should have sat there and given them advice or comfort or a listening ear or compassion or an understanding or a hug. Instead of giving them those things, I dug down and figured out how to fix the problem for them, or wrote them a check, or found them a job, or that I've done all the work for them in more cases than not. And the one time I say no, you're having a problem with it. So it's more about you just kind of noticing, like, if my son or daughter has a hard time accepting my no's, maybe I've already conditioned them or trained them to always be getting so much from me that I deliver too much, to the point where that they can't go, all right, Mom, no worries, or hey, Dad, it was worth a shot. I'll figure this out on my own. That's what you want your kids to say when you tell them no. Like, hey, kid, you know what? I bailed you out on that one. I'm not going to do it again. Like, you need to figure this out. Yeah, you're right. You know what? Let me see what I can do. Or, hey, I needed to try anyways. Thank you. And I'll figure something out. Like, you want your kids to respond back to you like that. But if they're having a difficult time with you saying no, and now they're mad at you, or they're, I don't know, breaking stuff or sabotaging things in your home or whatever, that's a sign.
Yeah, there's a story. Everybody knows
a red
stories
flag.
Of that happening.
Yeah, it's a red flag. The next one is a good indication or symbol or sign that you could be enabling your young adult child is that you pay for everything all the time. Rather than, you go, hey, you got this one? What? Yeah, you got a couple grand in your checking account. Like, you get to buy this, coffee or this lunch or whatever it is. So if they're just sitting there always letting you pay for everything, and or you've never called them on it. You've never said, hey, I think
the parent hasn't called them on it.
Yeah, the parents never said, hey, buddy, you got this one, right? Or, hey, maybe you're creative and go, hey, I'm hungry right now. How about some lunch on you? Well,
Like,
okay, all right,
okay.
all right. You know, you might have
Yeah.
to present those opportunities to remind them that, you know, hey, I've without a doubt, every time, you know, the checks come, I've always picked it up for you. How about you pick up one as a statement to say, hey, you know, and give them an opportunity to give to you. Well, I mean, what an amazing feeling that is.
That is a fantastic feeling.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh, when the check comes, I'm like, oh, I got it.
I
Don't worry
got
about
this.
it.
Yeah.
They're like, what? I'm like, because they expect to pay because just that my parents are
Yeah.
nice like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I pay, I feel good even though I paid, you know, I don't know how many times, because they've taught me that way. But every time it's still, even if it's a $5, even if it's McDonald's or something. It doesn't have to be grand, but it's still great just to like, I got you guys.
I think every parent just really appreciates, you know, hey, Mom, can I borrow $20 for gas? Yeah, here you go. And then the next day, hey, here's your 20. What?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
like, it's a great feeling to have your kids ask for support, whether they use the word borrow, or you give it to them and then they go, hey, I got this check back here. This is for last week. Thank you. You know. It really lets you know, it's a good sign that they're not kind of taking advantage of you, and that they do believe in themselves enough, and they're abundant enough to know that, hey, there's more where that came from. I got a job now. I can keep working and whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a good feeling. It's
Yeah.
a good symbol
It's
and
great.
sign when they.
But if
when they
that
get paid
hasn't
for it.
happened to you as a parent, then that again, red flag, and stop and say, oh, maybe you have been giving too much.
That's the purpose of that. This could be a symbol or a sign that you maybe enable a little bit too much. The next one is the next sign could be that you baby your young adult child. What do you think that means? You baby them.
I would say like all of this in one, but still see them as that little kid. I think.
So what is
See
it?
them as
So is that like you're sick and your mom makes you, you know, some soup and is come in and just over pampering you?
Yeah.
Or
Oh shoot! Well, I'd want my mom to come. Hey, come help me.
Of course you would. Of course you would. But I think one of the signs is if you can just within yourself acknowledge, you know what, I do baby my kid. I mean, babying your kid, no matter what age they are, is kind of subjective to each parent because everyone does it in a different way. Like, oh, well, I like doing this one thing for him or her. I like to, you know what I'm saying? But you got to decide what babying means because, you know, if you baby or pamper your child a little bit too much in their 30s or in their 40s, you know, maybe you need to back off, just dial it down a tad and choose those moments that when you do it, it's more coming from a place of, man, I really want to do this for you. I know you can buy this for yourself, or, you know, wait for those pivotal moments where, let's say they want to get some sneakers and it's their birthday next week and you're out at the mall and your son or your daughter is paying for something and you go, no, I want to get this because your birthday's coming up, or I want to get this because, and they go, thank you, Mom. I appreciate that. It means a lot. And she gives you a hug, right? It's those moments. It's those moments where you're like, no, I want to do this. But you can only get to that place if you haven't enabled your kids to where they walk up and put all their 5 shoes up there and they look at you, or they walk away, and then you're like, oh my God, and then you pull out your card and you swipe. So those are, you know, we're trying to paint a picture for you,
and
for
then
you
have
to
like
look
a
and
fit,
know,
like, oh, I just had to pay for all these things.
Yeah.
You say thanks, Mom, but like that way.
So you got to be able to kind of acknowledge and notice, man, that sounds like something that my kid would do, or something that I would do, or that sounds like a scenario that I've done all the time or several times. The next sign is that you feel overwhelmed or taken advantage of and you're burnt out because the things that your son or daughter either takes from you, demands from you, is always asking from you, something that your kids are always needing from you, and you're there always responding. And in your life, you always feel overwhelmed. You feel like they take too much or they take advantage of you, and you're just burned out. If you're at that stage, it's a good possibility that you are an enabler. You've been enabling them for many years.
And I think if you, as a parent, if you're at that stage, you know that you're enabling, but I think the come from might be, they're so far into it, and I've done this so long, I don't know anything else. And I don't know if they can click or be conscious. And then shows like this will help you. Like you can change.
Absolutely, you can, and it's not your child. It's not
Right.
It's not about calling me up saying, "Hey, I want you to coach my 30-year-old because he or she takes advantage of me and they haven't gotten a job." It's you that needs to learn how to start saying no. It's you that needs to learn some specific things to turn this around. And I'll talk about that before we close the show and give some advice and hints on if you are an enabler and you are struggling with getting your kids empowered enough to have their own independence and their own confidence and be powerful enough to choose for themselves and live their own life and navigate their own life and their own circumstances, then there may be some things that you need to learn within yourself before you cause a shift in them, because they're not going to change. If you're handing out free stuff all the time, think about. Let's just think about this for a minute.
Who would go away from that?
Let's think about this for a moment. If you're always giving away free stuff, right? And this is a great example. One year, my mom loves animals, and one year this cat showed up. And it was like all beat up. And my mom was like, "Oh, my God, look at this cat," right? And she cleaned it up. It was just a stray cat. Put it back outside, but she put a little thing of milk out there or whatever and some food. I swear to God, I came back 6 months later, and I pulled up, and there was like 12 cats and they're roaming around her house. And I was like, "Mom, what are you doing?" She's like, "Well, I put one, and then two showed up, and then three." And I'm like, "Oh, my God." It's a great example of if you're going to put out and give out free stuff and you're always going to jump in and be the savior of someone, at a certain point, don't be surprised if they go, "You're always there for me."
Yeah.
I don't need to think. I don't need to try. I don't need to dig down deep and realize my own courage. I don't have to try to find a champion within me because you're always going to be there. Now, how does that hinder your child? It hinders your child because you might not be here tomorrow. Then what?
Exactly. That's what I was going to be. You helped them so long. Now
End of story.
Yeah,
you might not be here tomorrow. They're going to be lost. They're going to be broken. They're not going to be able to stand. They're not going to be able to figure out how to survive, to go out in the world and figure out how to evolve and overcome. And one of the things I think most parents do is we save our kids from any kind of struggle. And when we save our kids from any kind of struggle because we love them so much, we don't realize that struggling is an opportunity for someone to figure out that they're capable and competent enough to find solutions for their own problems. Most parents see struggle as a bad thing. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. You don't want kids to struggle at all.
Oh, my God. Jennifer's can't pay her rent. She's just lost her job. And it's like it hurts your heart so – it's like someone reaching into your chest and squeezing your heart that you see that as a bad thing. You can't see that as, yes, my daughter finally has an opportunity to figure out how to reinvent herself. What parent does that?
Right, because as a parent, you want – your child ultimately not to struggle ever.
That's right. And once you've decided I don't want my kids to ever struggle or ever go through any hard times, what you're doing, and you jump in and save them all the time, what you do is you rob them from the opportunities that life throws at us for us to persevere, for us to figure out how to overcome something. And when we persevere and overcome, we remember in those moments, man, see, I do have what it takes. There is a champion inside of me. There is something deep down inside of me that I have, that I am good at, that I'm great at. And then what happens is they get excited, and they decide that they want that they can't wait for the next opportunity to come up, right, where they can be a warrior and be successful in making a decision that they've decided for themselves and overcame.
And say that, no, I got this. It's cool. Thanks.
Yeah, wouldn't that be amazing?
That'd be fantastic.
To have your son or daughter go, no, mom, stop. I got this. I know, honey, but no. Do me a favor. If you're going to help me with insight, help me with information, share some of your stories, give me some advice. But ultimately, I want to make this choice. If I'm going to make it and I fail miserably, then it's something I want to do. Man, to hear your kids say that is the greatest feeling in the world, because they're telling you, I'm not afraid of failing. I'm not afraid to make the wrong choice. And it's them telling you, if I do make the wrong choice, hey, it gets to be a learning lesson for me. And then I get to figure out how to, reinvent myself and then course correct and then make a better choice for myself. I tell you what, when we come back from the break, I'm going to ask you some questions so that you can be the voice for all the young adults out there that are letting their parents enable them. So I want you to embody, when we come back from the break, I want you to embody the voice, the feeling, and be that voice for them, whether you and your parents enable you or not. You're pretty mindful. You're pretty aware. You have friends that you've watched that take advantage of their parents, yes. Right? You have cousins. You have people your age, and you sit there and you go, man, you shaking your head going, what? So I want you to speak as though you're them when we come back from the break. All right, stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina radio show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
Hi, I'm Miles McNamara, certified senior advisor and owner of Comfort Keepers and Home Care. Our caregivers help you in your own home. A Comfort Keeper can provide companionship, meal preparation, medication monitoring, assistance with personal care, transportation to doctor appointments, all enhancing your independence and safety in the comfort and privacy of your own home. So if you or someone you love could use a helping hand at home, call Comfort Keepers at 287-4200. That's 287-4200.
Here's another mortgage tip from your friends at Owning. Lenders must quote you both a rate and an APR. Any difference between these two reflects costs for the mortgage other than interest. Things like points, escrow, title, appraisal, or some baloney fee like $4.95 or $9.95 for, well, just because. So, when a lender says there are no costs, but the rate and the APR don't match, you're not getting an accurate story. At Owning, our 30-year rate and APR today are 3.5%. That's right, our rates and APRs match, so no lowball rate quotes with hidden costs at Owning.
Owning Corporation, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1797976, DRE License 02063270. MLO endorsement. Call 833-852-6464 for terms and restrictions.
30-year money, 3.5% rate and APR at Owning. Call 855-5-OWNING. That's 855-5-OWNING. Or log on to owning.com.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina radio show. If you're just joining us, you missed a good segment, I believe, of us talking about some of the signs that you might recognize in yourself if you could possibly be enabling your young adult child. You might even be enabling your teenager and not realizing it and identify some things. You might be a new parent and have kids in their, 3s and 4s that you don't want to be an enabling parent. And so you maybe want to hear this insight so that you learn how to not go down that path where you are doing too much for your kids, where you rob them from the opportunity to discover for themselves that they are capable, they are competent enough for deciding their own life choices and navigating their own life in their journey. So before we went on a break, I was asking you to embody all the young adult kids in the world that could be allowing their parents to enable them. And because if you're going to give it away for free, like we talked about, I'm going to take it, right? That's kind of the model and the mentality that kids have, because they're probably not aware of how it's hindering them. They're probably not forethinking, man, you know what am I going to do when I get out? They're probably not even having a thought because they're unconscious and not aware of that, oh my God, what happens if my mom, or dad pass away or something happens to where I don't get that, or they just cut me off? How am I going to survive if I haven't developed these inner abilities to think for myself, to overcome, to persevere, to face challenges and so forth? So here's my question to you as you embody that voice for all these kids. Why do you let your parents enable you for? Why do you not stand up and say, hey, no, Mom, I got this?
Well, I believe it starts when we are very young, not even in our teenage years where all of a sudden it just started. No, it started the development from when we were young, when we get hurt, obviously you're going to take care of us as parents and adults. But then it goes from there to a little too much, too far. Like, oh, I got you every time you fall down, every time you scrape your knee and things like that. So it starts from there. And then it just continually grows. And then sooner or later, that's all we know, that you're there, which is great. We want, as children, to know that our parents or whoever is there when we need them. But then it gets to a point where you're overly there. And then once we're there, why try? Then we're in our teenage years where you expect us to, develop our own and do stuff on our own. But if you continually do that, why try, basically? And we're not conscious enough, I would say that we as the collective, not conscious enough to say, you know what, stop, I'm going to stop this and do it on my own. If you tell me to take out the trash and you do it anyway, the parent does it, and you don't, and I don't have any consequence, for real consequence, even something small like that, then why, when you tell me again to do it, if you're just going to do it? Why try if you're just going to keep over showering me with love and everything like that? Why even, basically why try? It comes down to why try if you're going to do it for me.
Got it. Now, if I give you a consequence and I'm not good at enforcing it, or if you figured out how to come in and go, come on, Dad, hey,
Right.
and then you
play
me, right? Or you come in and, Mom, please, Mom, right? You get played. So let's be honest. You guys are playing your parents. You play mom against dad, dad against mom. Mom
I
gives
definitely
in.
have.
Your mom gives in at a certain point. Doesn't have the same stand that your dad does on certain things. And then, your dad has a weak stand when it comes to certain things. And so you guys are so smart and so, probably us better than we know ourselves. And you play us, yes or no?
Yeah, without 100%, yes.
Okay. With that being said, I guess just talking about it, we get to be aware now that as kids, you guys are playing the game to win, which is get whatever I want when I want it.
Yes, especially now in these times, yeah.
Yeah. And as parents, you're playing the game, or we're playing the game called, I'm not going to enable you and give you too much, because if I do that, I'm hurting you in the long run because you're not learning how to go out and get for yourself. So there's two different games being played. The problem is that both games I believe are being played unconsciously. Some kids are now consciously aware that I'm going to play you, and I'm learning how to manipulate what I say and who I'm being, the tone of my voice. I'm manipulating everything about me just so that I hit your soft spot for you to go, okay, or to get you to say yes and give me what I want. Is that not happening? Yes or no?
And then they're right back to it until the next time.
Could it, if that's what kids are doing, because they decided at 5 or at 9 years old that, all I got to do is act like this, and I get my mom to say yes. Or all I got to do is say those things, or show up this way, bat my eyes to daddy, and then he crumbles and gives me what I want. Are we, or could we be creating narcissists?
Oh, yes, without a shadow of a doubt.
Right?
I believe so.
Right? A narcissist is somebody who conforms themselves and says and does and acts in a specific way, purposefully, not authentically, but inauthentically, to get what they want. Now we could be having young adult narcissists that are portraying themselves in specific ways just to manipulate you or the situation, so that as long as they walk away getting what they want from you. That is scary to me. That scares me, knowing that because I haven't taken a stand and I don't know where my stand is or my line, and don't say no more times than not, and giving in to you, that you are now a master manipulator and a narcissist, and you're going to go out in the world and think that that's going to work in the world for you.
Right,
and it might for some people, because I know master manipulators, narcissists that are very successful because that's all they knew. But however, a lot of them that I know are struggling interpersonally with relationships, with feeling alone, emptiness, not experiencing love or self-love. There's a lot of stuff that's happening in the emotional development part or the emotional intelligence part that they don't have because they don't know who they really are. They don't know authentically who they are because they've been practicing to be this specific way to get what they want in life, and that's the identity that they became.
Yep, and then that's the person that kind of you can see as oh, they'll just either cutthroat or don't care.
And do you know kids like this?
I do, and again, it starts young. It even starts with babies when they cry, and your parents come and pick you up. Then they know that you're gonna cry, and they're gonna come pick you up. So it starts then. That's how young it starts.
We talked about that in my last show.
Yeah,
about that.
But it's yes, you're gonna come and pick them up, but it's how quick you learn. But even if you were
let the little baby cry, right? Cries to the point where he or she vomits, and then mom comes and cleans the baby up and then brings him back into the bed. And they go, all I got to do is just throw a temper tantrum right to the point that I vomit. Now I know
that's how young it starts.
I know where your breaking point is, right?
Yeah. But you can always, course correct that. Even if, say, you're enabled and you have a teenager right now. Again, we said this earlier. You can always stop and then course correct and become conscious and do that.
I don't know how much time we have. We have a minute. So I wrote out a bunch of distinctions on how to turn it around. I'm not gonna be able to go through all of them. I'm gonna go through them really quick. Make a commitment to yourself. Take a stand, or draw a line, or set some boundaries for yourself and them in what you will or you won't do for your kids. You have to make that commitment to yourself. It's like taking a stand or drawing a line, setting some boundaries. The next one is learn the distinction between support and enabling. If you don't know the distinction and they're cloudy, you're not going to know the difference. The next one, learn how to see struggling as a good thing, and then learn how to stand by and watch them struggle without jumping in to save them. See struggling as an opportunity for growth, for them to figure out who they are, to find their inner champion. Learn how to create agreements with them that are clear and concise and have consequences. And the last one, learn how to follow through with staying the course with the consequence that's agreed upon without giving in. That's a big one for a lot of parents. Thanks for joining me today. Thank you, Andrew, for hanging in there and listening in to this wonderful topic. We're here every Friday at 1 o'clock. Have a beautiful weekend. Thanks for listening to the Alex Urbina Radio Show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.